Thank you for tuning in to Andronetalks Radio, gathering as one in our sovereign truth from a galactic perspective, exploring our world with new ideas, knowledge, and a promise of a better future. Galactic discussions for galactic-minded people. Andronetalks.
You know, I'm definitely getting the acknowledgement from the other side right now, because you know, the whole premise of what I understand is, you know, we're here to do the great work. You know, we're here to understand what the great work is, and that is like when a human becomes a divine, you know, being. And that the process of that, which is understood through the hero's journey. It's also the philosopher's stone. It's all of that, like, and I've learned about that in the mystery schools. And you know, I've been doing the great work for my soul and my life, which is obviously like remembering who you are, remembering the past lives, all that stuff, which I'm having that experience, because like what I wanted to where to start was like where when I wrote my book Son of the Morning, I actually came in the book Awakening to Zero Point, by Greg Braden. That's where I first came across the Emerald Tablets of Atlantis and Thoth. And that was during my awakening, like around the 2012, you know, period. And then when I found that the Emerald Tablets, they just rang true to me. And then that's when I decided to study them deeper. And then, you know, I wrote a book called Son of the Morning, which is all about you know, a prophecy that, you know, that Thoth the Atlantean was giving back in the days when Atlantis was getting sunk, because the whole premise of the Tablets of Thoth are, you know, him being a priest in Atlantis, and then all that technology and all that, and then but there's 13 tablets, and they're written in just beautiful ancient language. You know, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever read in my life. You know, because I can read them, and they have many different layers. You know,
Yeah.
but they do give the truth out, because he's literally giving an account of what happened. And you know, I know there's speculation and stuff about, like, on the internet, whether they're real or not, but I know they're real, because I've actually seen them too. Like I've seen them in a memory.
Right. Like
You know,
a recall. Did you handle them as well? Well, before we get started, I just want to let anyone's listening, because I'm not going to cut out the beginning part of it, because Anthony was ready to go. This is Anthony Zender. Anthony Zender is one of the super soldiers, and he has so much to share with us. He is also a part of the ACIO, Unit 374, and a Kruger runner, or a Kruger advanced member, part of the Kruger group with Gabriel Kruger. And so there's a long list of the different things he's done. He's also been a soldier, a Marine, is that correct? And
in this life, but like
this lifetime,
you know, the whole understanding of this is understanding that I'm a time traveler, you know, and that's like that's been the biggest hurdle to understand, is time travel and how it works, because even all these movies, they're like, time travel is so confusing and all this stuff. So this awakening for me has been about learning about time travel, you know, and how it works, and I can explain it perfectly, like now, because I got the understanding. So, but like, just starting out at the beginning, where I wanted to talk about, because I just wanted to get into my book, because, it really does bring up all of this stuff that explains, the unexplainable, and the ungraspable, and the unknowable, which is what I know we've all been through here, especially as super soldiers and targeted individuals and stuff. So that's been my mission, is to remember, and so I would say I'm at like a total recall time now for me.
I'm gonna share that book with everyone right now. Here it is. This is
that was that that other was from my site too, which my site is up, theimmortalskeep.com, where I just that's years of work of me awakening, and interviews that I've done, and just soft disclosure movies that I've identified through being a super soldier. Which the thing about soft disclosure movies is they're movies, but they're giving out concepts of truth. And those people that have been involved in the programs and the secrets, when they see certain things, it will trigger them because they've been involved in it. So there's so many different things to talk about, which we'll talk about everything.
This is the Immortals Keep right here. You can see it, right?
Yeah, that is on my website. And I just I'm it's a constant work in process, but pretty much that's my disclosure site.
Yeah, and you have soft disclosure, you have information on QAnon, which is a lot of interesting charts that you have here. And of course,
yeah, it's a lot of information, but my whole premise is getting through what's coming from the future, because being involved in time travel, I've been seeking to understand, and one of the best ways to explain it is Tenet, the movie Tenet, because being involved in time travel, we've been as super soldier, we've been taken from this time, into the future, which is also shown in the Tomorrow War. How they did in Tomorrow War. So
we have this is Infinite, but I also have Tenet here. Here's Tenet.
And all these movies actually connect together in a super soldier's experience. So that's what I'm like seeking to explain, and having the platform to be able to explain it is someone that's been involved in time travel, because we have been taken into the future and doing things in the future, and missions in the future, which there are just so many. Like, I know I've been involved in like over 5,000 missions. Peter told me, that I've been remembering my whole life. So, but the whole thing about Tenet is that's one of the, because if anyone watches Tenet, they might be a little confused, because time travel is confusing, and time. I've understood the whole thing is understanding time and how time works.
Right.
So I understand Tenet, because I know I've been taken to the future, because I remember, it, and all the memories, and then getting put back in this time line with all the memories erased, but I remember everything. But the whole thing about Tenet is when you're put back in the present time from the future, you start to realize that time is coming from the future.
Right.
And then so you get Tenet, which is which also know happens too through awakening to zero point, because that was like, because everything connects, and I wanted to connect everything. And I wanted to talk about how I came across the Emerald Tablets of Atlantis.
Yeah.
And that was through the book Awakening to Zero Point. And Awakening to Zero Point,
That
I mean, obviously,
Greg Braden. It was that the Greg Braden book.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that awoken me to zero point, because I realized what was happening in my life at that time, because I was getting the books of all the ancient mysteries and all that stuff, and then getting involved in mystery schools, like with Ramtha the Enlightened One in his mystery school, and learning about just all the ancient mysteries and how to meditate. And awakening to zero point is like literally, I've done it for 6 years now, but you just get into a state of just you're just at a zero
Peace.
point.
Yeah,
state.
you're at like kind of a point of peace and quiet.
I've definitely reached that point. They teach you how to do it in the schools, and this is the premise of being able to operate advanced craft too.
Mm-hmm.
Because even like when I started remembering memories, the first memories I started having coming up was I was sitting in lotus position, and I had a interface over my head, like a very advanced interface.
Mm-hmm.
And I was obviously piloting a craft. So those were part of the first memories coming back, but there's so many memories, and everything is just you can only explain it in a linear fashion, but
yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're talking about, because when I was a child, I remember observing certain things happening in kind of like in the science field, or like advanced electronics or something like that, and I'd be watching it, and then I wouldn't know how to get the basic. I didn't learn the basic math to calculate how it all worked, but I already knew how it worked. It was a really weird thing. So understanding like whether it was a futuristic type of technology or something. And I actually had a conversation with a woman who was from working for MIT, and then the government called her in. And I was literally seeing certain technology to help people for post-traumatic stress. And so I was, trying to explain what I was looking at, and she wrote it all down. I mean, I didn't feel like I needed to say, hey, yeah, if you develop that, I need money or something. I just
mean,
wanted
what I
people to get
understand is
help.
this is coming from the future. It's information
Yes.
that's coming from the future,
Yeah.
and we are tapped into that because we've been there, and we're also psychic too, so we're mediums. From this. So I mean, it's a way. It's definitely something to wake up to, that you're getting information from like a divine source.
Yeah, and like it happens, I don't know about you, but it started happening to me when I was really young, and as observing things. When I would talk to people that had all sorts of degrees, and we'd start having discussions, and at some point I would know exactly what they were talking about, and they would be looking at me like, well, how do you know that? And I didn't know. I thought it was like intuitive, or just a natural type of knowledge.
How do you already know that? And that does explain, though. That does explain being in the future, actually having knowledge that comes from the future. That
Right.
does explain it. Like,
and
so
also
that's
parallels too, where we've been experiencing things, or assisting in certain ways. So like we have different types of work that's related to the work that we're talking about now, but it's
right.
more hands-on, like we're experiential stuff that's happening in these other parallels, where we're on ships, we're actually navigating things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that, just to pop into that, like I do like to use references in movies, to just to wake people up, and to because like just like in Doctor Strange, she says in the beginning, you think the word reality, is the only reality. This is
Right.
one of many, and that just kind of opens up everything because the same teachings that are in that actual movie, like, and that are referred to through the ancient one, to Doctor Strange, that same relationship I'm experiencing with my guide and mentor, which is Ramtha, the Enlightened One. Like, it's the same thing because the whole premise is like, how do I get from here to there? How do I get from where I am to where you are? And she, she says study and practice and all that stuff. So what I've been involved in is being involved in Ramtha's mystery school.
So
And
Ramtha's from the past. Is that correct? Or
yeah, Lumerian, a Lumerian,
right.
35,000 year old Lumerian warrior.
But
And
they're advanced. They're more advanced than our civilization right now.
Oh
So
yeah, and the Atlanteans too, though, because he actually gives stories about how the Atlanteans built their ships and they grew their ships, like they grew them. So that was more advanced. But so I know that Ramtha is very much a guide in my life because I've not only been involved in the school, reading all his work, but I get these amazing dreams and experiences from him, and he's always talked about it because it's actually me experiencing being with him on the other side, which he's always talked about because I've had my life review. Like, I've actually experienced my life review on the other side with him, and he talked about it, and I actually experienced it the other night because I was on the other side with him, and I remember I just started crying, and he actually talked about in his teachings with all the people that he has been with, that how he's been on the other side with us and how he's seen our life review with us, and how there's been laughing and crying and all these things of our life review. And I actually experienced it the other night, like he was there, and I was I was actually in crying mode, because I'm just like, I'm doing the great work. I'm doing it. Like, I want, so, but he was there. And, other dreams too, where he's come through, and, basically we were in this, obviously another dimension, on the other side, but there was this beautiful, like passageway of trees and roses, and just trees and roses falling all over the place. And we were walking through it, and he was just like teaching me, and he was just like take it all in, just take it all in right now. And so I've had many experiences from my guide, from that are helping me through this. So I know that there are higher beings, that are definitely helping people through this experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really important because this present time, our society has been very difficult, especially the past couple of years. And if you think that this is the end of it, it would be very discouraging, but it's not. I mean, like you said, we're going through this experience. People say, I didn't ask to be here. I said, you had to have. You wouldn't be here otherwise. You're not just pushed here, by accident. Until you come to terms with that and understand that you can help liberate, your own experience and those around you, understanding that we are, immortal in a sense that our soul is going from one experience to the next, and there are better experiences than there are here, but in order to help others that can't see that or can't experience that, or have allowed certain things to come in out of fear or sorrow, or giving up or whatever it was, that our presence here is helping to uplift this and to shift us back into our correct timeline, or the highest intention for humanity in this construct. So we're here to support one another, and it's important. And people will have differing views. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because not everyone's going to relate to one person. There's not going to be like one, great teacher messiah, because not everyone resonates with that. There's going to be many teachers. There's going to be many people that are going to help others get through, and it doesn't matter. Everyone has their own path in how they go. So with no judgment.
That too, like it's coming here and understanding that everybody does have their own path and opinion, right. and respecting that too. Just because it doesn't align with your necessary, but it's all actually all part of one source anyways. So
right.
I mean that's what we really got to understand of creation. But I understand that that's why we're here on the earth, because the earth I know is a portal. It's just a portal to another world, another dimension, and it's a school. And we're here learning, and we're in the time of a great transition and transformation right now. I am, pretty sure what's conspiring right now. So it is like Peter has said, it's a transformation and a transition into, because we're merging with a parallel reality, which is our future, because I've actually been there. I've been to the future, and that's what I wanted to get into, though, because the peripheral. Mm-hmm. I wanted to talk about that because
it's in another video. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm seeing all because we've been waiting for disclosure, we've been waiting for all this stuff, but it is happening. It's definitely happening. And when I saw the peripheral, oh God, I was just like, I had to take a second, because I was just like, I'm like, this is exactly what we experience as super soldiers, because literally, and intuitively I'm putting together like the information I know based on what I'm seeing. But literally they they give them the technology to transfer their consciousnesses, into an android or a clone body in the future, which is a disclosure of what we go through as super soldiers, and which I know they can do through implants on us. It's not like a headset, it's actually what they can do.
It?
Right. Yeah, it's see what I understand, though, is they do this through implants on us. You know what I'm saying? So what will happen to us is we will just be living our everyday life, right? Which there's bleed throughs, because they show the concept of the bleed through on this, because she is going through all these, her consciousness is going through all these experiences in the future, but she's in the present time, but she's actually, there are effects of what she's going through. So it's like, for people that are super soldiers that have been on the MyLab program and mind erasing and time travel and all that stuff, this show is definitely a good show, though, because it explains the continuum, the quantum entanglement between the future and the present time right now, because that's what we're experiencing as super soldiers, is a quantum entanglement, because we've been in the future and we're in the present right now, so we're getting the tenant experience. And that's actually what I'm experiencing right now, is because I've been in the future and I'm back in the present right now. So like I'm actually seeing time go backwards. Like it's different. Like the way they showed it on the movie is a good way, because you're going forwards, but time is going backward. Like it's a weird, it's very complicated to explain.
Right.
Time travel.
I mean, it doesn't look necessarily everything like it might happen faster or slower. It's kind of a weird, that's what I've experienced. It's sort of like in the movie, they have to display it in a certain way.
Which they do, they do a good job in that.
Excellent job. Yeah, they do.
Of them going forwards, but things happening backwards.
Right.
Which creates the tenant.
It's an energy. Do you remember the energy that you feel? Because I remember the energy of when that happens. It's very different, because it's almost like from a molecular perspective, you can feel the pressure of it when you're going back. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, no, I remember. Trust me, I do. Because like they showed in the Tomorrow War, when they get actually taken into the future, the way they portrayed that, when that happens, is how it feels, when you're getting like literally sucked out of this time into another time, and then and then like they show in the peripheral, like we'll go to sleep or something like that, and then boom, we're in a mission, on another planet, in another dimension, something like that. That's what happens every night, like for us. So that so that kind of like broadens your perspective on reality, because time travel's happening, and this is all coming from the future, and things that are we're doing everything from the future, and we're getting a basically this is all bleeding through from the future.
Do you know that there's a point where I think her name is her name Chloe? Is that the character? Or no, that's her real name maybe. What she does is, like they say in the movie Peripheral, they need money. First of all, they need money, and this is how careers change. In some of these realities is where they use these virtual reality type of experiences. It starts off with the games. But the games are so popular that it rolls into other things, and so they do this thing which is considered experimental, right? But they're actually immersing into this other reality and then acting it out. So she's thinking it's just like some kind of like fabricated type of thing, or she's jumping into a game. But when she comes back, she's hurt. She's physically hurt. And this is what I've tried to explain to people. Like the time when Peter said that this group, Monarch / Pleiadian 12D or whatever, threw me out of a plane. It was actually a spaceship, and dropped me at a level that I would have definitely died. I didn't feel anything right away. And then within a couple days later, I couldn't walk. I literally could not walk. I tried to get out of bed. I found myself on the floor. I was trying to drag my body with my arms. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And, I was, kind of fit. It's not like I was crippled or anything like that. How do you explain that in one day, that you can't walk? After getting informed that you literally had this physical experience, and that you were thrown from this plane. And I told him, I said, something weird happened, and I knew something weird happened. I didn't know exactly what happened, but I remember seeing Shiva, and Shiva was trying to help me. And you talk about Ramtha, I talk about Shiva, right? So
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously
it's
they're of the
similar.
same hierarchy of gods.
Guides is a type of
Yeah,
guide, you know.
guides and gods for sure.
Yeah, and so Peter tried to call me, I don't know, 5, 6 times or whatever. He thought I was dead. And I said, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I didn't know what he was talking about. But I felt it after that. And do you know how many
Yeah.
times I had to go to the chiropractor? Twice a week, 3 times a week, for a while, just to be able to walk again, like normally, without extreme pain.
Yeah, I mean, because it does that's what they show is what we go through does affect us, very
Yeah,
much so
it's real.
bleeds
It's
through
real.
into this.
I wish it wasn't. Honestly, I
Well,
wouldn't wish that on anybody.
you can't like expect things that we experience not to bleed through and actually affect us in this reality. But that's actually what I learned through Romp's school, was how to raise my vibration, which like allows what I go through not to have like as much effect on me. Like
Yeah, you'd be in a lot
because
of trouble
yeah.
if you didn't. I don't know if it's just raising your vibration, but um, there's more involved in it, I think. So you're in a battle somewhere else is one thing. You're in a battle here with specific ETs. They want you to feel it. They definitely want you to feel it.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah, like yeah, I do. I do. And
but yeah, you would think.
it's a mental, emotional, spiritual and physical battle like here on 3D. Like
Yeah,
that's what we but like what I learned is if we can, master the mental, master the emotional, master the spiritual and master the spiritual and what emotional, mental, and I forgot. Um,
yeah, I
well,
know what you're talking about. And
yeah. But if we can, the elements, they're each connected with the elements too, and this is what the alchemists knew. They knew how to master the elements, the emotional, which is water, the mental, which is air, the physical, which is your body and the earth, and the spiritual, which is fire. So I've all that knowledge has come up, like I've remembered it because I remember being an alchemist in the past. I remember being a priest in the past. I have my memories come back of me actually being initiated in the pyramids of Egypt. Like those memories were coming back when I was 6 years old, and you know they come back throughout your life. But I have memories of being in Egypt. I have memories of going through initiations in the pyramids, and then I have actually a memory, okay, of me being in the a chamber in the pyramid. And I actually remember because doing my research of the pyramids and what they were, and like all that came back because it was an initiation uh chamber, to
right,
go into other dimensions. And I actually had this was the craziest thing because when you're experiencing, remembering past lives, remembering missions and all that stuff, you're getting access to the Akashic records, you're getting access to the halls of Amenti, you're going to the other side, and you're getting to see everything happening everywhere all at once, which is without a place without time. So I've spent a lot of time in the great work, like learning how to do this. And so I've been able to access a lot of my memories. And one of the pretty much the most interesting experiences I had, because even in the movie Infinite, they actually talk about reincarnation.
Right. Yeah,
And
they do.
that movie is actually um, based off a book called The Reincarnationist Papers. Like that's the book it's based off of, and it's about a secret society of people that just remember, and that would
Hmm.
be a secret society, because if you remembered past lives, that would very much be a secret society, because in the society we live in today, that's been definitely uh, forgotten. But in the Eastern teachings,
In
it's not. So
some ways, we're similar to that. We're like a secret society, not a secret society like a government society,
right, right.
but like for
But
through.
it is
Right?
right. It is. We're not trying to keep the secret. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
but
no, we're
we
actually
we
trying
are
to bring
part
it
of
out to the open.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you remember your past lives in reincarnation,
Yep.
you've done some sort of work to remember some truth and stuff. So um I actually, this memory that I had, because I believe that I was a pharaoh, because the pharaohs go through the initiation in pyramids, to raise their kundalini. It's all about raising your
Hmm.
kundalini up, and that's why they have the serpent coming out of their head,
Right.
is because
Yeah.
that was a symbol of the
Kundalini.
kundalini
Yeah.
being awakened. And in my life, like my kundalini spontaneously awoken when I was 25. When I started waking up to this, I had a kundalini awakening, and I felt the energy just traveling up my spine and burst out my head. And I was even with a friend, and I just, like, when it happened, I just, like, shot up and he was looking at me like weird,
Yeah.
and that was my spontaneous kundalini awakening. And then I just started remembering everything. I started meditating, all my dreams, everything started coming back to me. And so I remembered this memory of going through the whole initiation uh, experience. And then in the final part of it was being in a cold, dark chamber, where I actually remember it was the coldest, darkest, just death, like that was what was the premise of it. But I was in that place, and then all of a sudden I just lit up, like I started lighting up, and I started levitating. And that was me, like, in my Merkaba, lighting up. And I know that Jesus and Moses and all of the lineage has all been initiated in the pyramids. So that was my remembering of that.
Yeah.
Of
Even
that
Napoleon went there. And Napoleon
Napoleon.
has some. Did you know that they found an implant in Napoleon's head? An
That's
alien
it.
implant from
So
way
yeah,
back
there's
then,
some time
1700s.
traveling. Yep, there's some time traveling stuff going on there. They were what that says to me is they were working with time travel there. They were working with you know altering the course, you
Right.
know
Yeah.
because that's where, if you see alien influence involved in anything, there's time travel and alteration that has to do with it, because that's what we've been involved in as super soldiers too, is being involved in time travel and altering timelines, altering our timeline,
For the good.
and
For the good,
yeah,
there's
for
some
for
that have
for the
done it for
greater
the
good.
bad. I think there's even a group of, so you have a group that wants things to get better. You have groups that want to achieve something for themselves. They mess with the timelines, and then there's a group that goes there and doesn't know what they're doing, and they just
Mm.
start
Yeah, there's a whole
tampering
bunch,
with
because
things.
imagine you're in the future in time, because the whole premise is, like, just like in Looper, it says in the future time travel has been discovered.
Mhm.
That's what we're gonna have to come to terms with, because imagine the future is a place, and there's time travel, and there's people that have, access to it. There's going to be different agendas, and they're going to be doing different things, and it's going to be causing ripples and all this stuff. And so that's what the reality of it is, what we're dealing with and what we're actually experiencing in our timeline is all the time fluctuations and all this stuff from what's going on, because we're in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had a conversation with Peter on the phone one time. I was literally 5 minutes from the house. I mean, really, really close. And all of a sudden I looked up, while we're talking, I'm driving. It's something that I could do with almost my eyes closed. It was really easy. And then before you know it, I'm in another town. While I'm talking to him, I said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "But I am 20 minutes away from my house, and I was only 5 minutes away. I was ready to take that turn. And I looked,
wow.
and that turn wasn't there anymore. And I was 20 minutes away." And I said, "How in the world did that happen?"
Yeah.
"How did that happen?" And he laughed, and he says, And I said, "What?" I said, "No, are you doing something over there right now that's affecting what's happening with me?" And, of course, he didn't say anything, but I was just
what intuitively comes to me, because, I'm always looking for explanations and stuff. Like, I don't know exactly, but there was, I think that you probably got taken or something.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Because,
definitely. I was like,
if
no,
that,
I mean it. I was right there. It was 5 minutes from my home.
yeah.
This
I mean,
doesn't make sense.
that goes to show, though, we can get taken too, like when we're not asleep. We can get, it can happen when we notice the weird, strange things, the stranger things that happen in our reality.
Yeah.
Which happens all the time for us. It's just nothing but strange things, like every day, because it's, oh man,
We took
it's
a trip. We took a trip to Montauk, which Peter was absolutely against. He was angry that I actually went there. But before I called him, I was moving slow motion. I had trouble talking. It was the weirdest thing. I contacted Peter, and he would not get off the phone until I was out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
And, usually he's too busy to talk for a long period of time. He stayed on the phone for the whole way until we were like in a whole other town away from Montauk.
Oh, okay.
Probably like an hour away. Yeah.
Must have been that. Yeah, because anytime there's an emergency or stuff, I know Peter, works it out, which is it's so fun. Like, right, there's so much stuff to talk about right now, but like one thing that I'm actually seeing right now, which I really don't, it doesn't really affect me anymore, because I know these groups of people, they're gonna talk about whatever they're gonna talk about.
Right.
But I since Corey Good's deposition and stuff came out, I've seen that in the people, and the people that are in the disclosure community, the whole super soldier topic has kind of lost belief and stuff. People are kind of making fun of it now. Because Corey Good's just getting called out and saying that he was lying, but that doesn't, what I want to say is that doesn't mean that like the ACIO is for real. The information that we're coming forward with is all legitimate, and people are making fun. People are making fun of the super soldier topic now, but that kind of I kind of want to be like, you guys have no fucking clue what
well, if they based their whole belief system just off of Corey Good, I mean, here's something that people need to be real about, is that we know that we're in a community and we're safe to talk about it. I'm sure people that would look at even whether it's 10, 15 years ago, I mean, because these topics have been going on for a long time, and so there's history, there's like what's his name? That wrestler, Jesse the Body Ventura, who became the mayor of, I forget what, I think it's Minnesota or something like that. They were talking about super soldiers way back when, right?
Yep.
The whole thing,
Jesse the Body Ventura. He did a show where he had Duncan O'Finian on it.
of course, yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of people have been talking about whether it's time travel, super soldiers, and hey, they created that movie Stranger Things off of what happened in the Montauk Project. Had it been fake, they wouldn't have created that movie. Here's the truth of what I think Corey went through, and I would challenge anyone in the same situation how difficult it would be, because now you're going to the court of law and you're going to talk about aliens. What's going to happen to you? What do you think is going to happen to you next? So the first thing he does is it's fantasy. It's fantasy, because I'm not getting psychoanalysis on everything that I'm talking about that I cannot physically prove right now. And even if I did, it's usually redacted on government official documents. You're not allowed to talk about these things. So he was backed against the wall, and I promise you that anyone that's criticizing what he went through, that they would probably do the same thing. Otherwise,
yeah, no, I know he was legit. I know he was legit. I know he was legit, and I know he everything
had too much information and I did look at it, and I do believe that the beings that he interacted with are real, whether I like them or
so
not.
do I, because my sister actually had interaction with the same beings. And it was the same name, Arael, like it was the same thing. So
yeah, and a lot of people did.
But you're right. You're so right about him having to do that in the court of law.
That's what I feel like happened. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not going to say I'm in his head and I know exactly what he was thinking, but if I was in his situation, I'd be like, yeah, I was just thinking about it, and I'm a fantasy writer.
Yeah, but the thing too is like, it looked like there was money involved, and when there's money involved, that takes it down a darker road and stuff. So
well, that's the other piece is there are people think there were no laws on copyright. There's a ton of laws on copyright. I went to school where a professional communication school, Emerson College, celebrities, Steven Spielberg, no, it's not Steven Spielberg, one of his kids were there, celebrities and people like that, journalists, some famous people went to that college, right? And they told us, if you steal from someone else's content, it is illegal. It is illegal to misuse it, misappropriate it, take credit for it. So anyone that does anything like that can be taken to court for taking that information, without citing. You have to cite. You have to say, I got this information from this individual, or from this book.
Right.
You can, when I wrote my book, The Andronetalks Transmissions, I made sure everyone that I quoted, that I had like a bibliography at the end of all the people that, and a reference and number that goes with that. You want to respect these people, whether it's their personal story, it's their, in creativity or creative license that they can share with someone, but it's okay. But the right thing to do is cite it. And so in this community, it's like all of a sudden someone else is taking your story and, they're rewriting it slightly, but it's your story or whatever. And they think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And legally, whether we like it or not, we can say that we're into spiritual things, but from, the structure of the way our governments are set up, it is unlawful to take people's content and say it is yours. People that are musicians have gotten sued for a lot of money for things like that. And so that there was, what was it? There was a movie called The Man from Toronto.
Oh, and yeah. Yep.
Someone comes in and literally he has this story about what happened and what brought him into this place where he becomes like a mercenary or a hitman.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, he tells this long story of how he was mistreated or he became an orphan or something like that. And then he goes to this one place where he's supposed to do a job, and another guy shows up and he said, I am the man from Toronto. And he tells the whole story. That was the other guy's story. And the man from Toronto, the true man from Toronto, says, you took my origin story? You took my origin story. This is my childhood. This is what I tell everyone.
It's like, that's my shit.
And I'm thinking, I'm watching it, I'm saying, people have taken my origin story. I said, that's exactly what happened to me. But this happens. I've had people listen to hours and hours of my content, which I've been doing things since 2015. And suddenly I hear someone else talking about our information about Atlantis, information about my situation with Murkoff or whatever. And I'm listening.
Yep.
Can you guys get your own content?
That was the Kim Gogan one. That was a funny one.
That was another
one.
Funny she just one. Took our website.
That was a funny one when she started. Yeah, no, that was so obvious though, because I understand that in this people are looking for information, like new information, and it's very obvious that she was, and she just went right off the website, and she starts talking about like, oh. And she's like, oh yeah, she's like, oh, Murkoff. She's like, oh, I had a run-in with them, the other week and stuff.
But I'm even talking about other people. There's been at least 5 or 6 that I've caught using my information. It's bizarre, and I don't. But when I saw that Corey Good was upset that people were taking his like Blue Avian information or whatever, and I was like, yeah, it's his. Mm-hmm. It's his. Find your own information if you have something to contribute. If you're as the traveler or the super soldier, or whatever.
Yeah, you should have your own. You definitely should have your own.
If you don't have your own, that is not similar to someone else's, then you're fabricating. Just bring in your own information, or if you don't have, I don't know, people want to become famous or well known or something. Not that I am. I don't feel like I am, but. Just if they should have their origin story that is unlike anyone else, right?
Right. It should be individual though, because that's what we all are though, for sure.
So the community got sloppy. It got really sloppy. Nobody called people out for doing this kind of stuff or explained that, it's much more powerful if you have your own experience that you're sharing with people, rather than bringing in somebody else's.
Yeah, because
the listeners supported it because the listeners thought, oh, that sounds familiar, like somebody else like went through. You know what I mean? Like they'll name like, oh yeah, so and so went through that too. That you guys were in the same place, or no, not necessarily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we're getting into a time where the wheat is getting separated from the chaff, and the validity and uniqueness of people's testimonies are going to become more apparent. And I know that as time goes on here, I know we're getting prepared for something big. I know the transition, the transformation, the merging. I know that what I can say is like this other parallel reality, has had their presence has been here, and they've been here, they've been, flying around all the time in holographic planes and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And what I understand is they're getting everybody prepared for what it is called the Great Intimidation. And it's like a Tomorrow War type event, where they come out and they appear and they show themselves. They come uncloaked because they're always flying around everywhere right now. Mm-hmm. Like it's the black helicopter phenomenon. And what I've learned from Ramtha is the parallel reality like where actually Kruger is and all of that, that's our future.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's merging into now. So I've been there, so I know what's coming.
Yeah.
So
Unless the tricky thing is they shift things every now and then,
right.
or we shift. Sometimes they move us.
That is the truth, and I don't actually know exactly what's coming, but I have a pretty good idea, because I
remember.
know the future involves definitely, like, if we're looking at like 2042, if we're looking into that time frame, it's like it's going to be a lot different. When we get there, like, so what I understood was what Ramtha was informing us on, was at this time was to be able to get through it, when everything seemed to be breaking down, everything is just going to help. It is happening for a reason, but to get through it, to get to the other side, which is going to be our future, which is where we do have access to the technology, and everything changes.
I remember how Tomorrow World triggered you. I remember when it came out, you were like, I know this. I've already done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true though, because I actually like, because the whole premise of the mystery school is remembering the future. And so I've been involved in all these disciplines to remember the future, which is basically being able to see the future. And I've had all these experiences where I've been approached, you know what I'm saying, by them, the people from the future, Gabriel, Kruger, all them. They literally looked like they're from the future. And there are memories where they, like, I believe I'm going to experience this very soon. Because what they do is they I know I've been getting prepared for this, because Lincoln Clay has approached me. I've been approached by the government, all the time. I'm constantly monitored and watched, and they're constantly trying to slow down my process of remembering, because, that's why they hate you with directed energy weapons.
Not
My actual,
not doing that. It's
right.
whoever doesn't want you awake. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that. And I mean, it's, they're trying to slow down how much I'm remembering, because they know I could cause a timeline incursion. So that's what they're doing. And like, I'm just remembering more and more. So, and I know they don't like me talking about my book, because like when I go out into the world and I actually set up a stand for my book to sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this again, like this whole year. I'm going to be going on a book thing, because I just got to get this out. But last time I did this, when I went to set up a stand for my book, I had an agent just come out of nowhere, and he sets up a drone right in front of the stand that I was selling my book at. And I was in Florida, and I was like on a beach. It was just a random place where I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go, sell 30 books over here.
Yeah.
And an agent that was watching me, because they're always watching us, came out and set up a drone right in front of my stand, and just starts hovering it right in front of my stand. Right. Like, and they were obviously trying to get people to not talk to me.
That's interesting, because I was in Florida and we were looking at things and visiting places. You know what I mean? Just like trying to clear areas where there were problems. And suddenly I look over and there's a drone following us.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, look, it looks like this.
That was a team on you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and
I've
then
had
some
it all
guy
the
came
time.
out. I said, look, I pointed at him, and my friends turned and looked, and then all of a sudden the guy acted like, oh, this is mine. I'm not doing anything really.
Yep.
And it was like, that was
That's
really
one of the
weird.
teams like that. That's one of the teams that watch us, that monitor us as my labs and assets, because I have that all the time. Like I'll just be walking and then all of a sudden I'll hear this zzz, and it will be a drone just following me, and that's happened multiple times. I've had 2 drones, but I've identified that these are the teams that are watching us, keeping an eye on us and stuff like that. That's part of being a targeted individual,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, really obvious at that point.
But they don't want us to be able to raise the consciousness of people, and online's one thing, but like in real life is another. Like you can make a tremendous amount of difference more in real life. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the real thing, you look someone in the eye and you say, hey, this really happened. This really happened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd be
right,
willing to. I would
because that
be
would
willing.
change everything. Because once people know time travel's real, that changes everything.
Well, they don't, like I
that
said, they don't want all this info. There's powers that be don't want this out there. But I would do a lie detector in a second, from the information that I've shared with the public. I'm sure you would do the same.
Yeah, I know you would, and I would do the same too, for sure. But what I do know is that all that we know is going to come into importance here in the future, though, because people like us, my labs and super soldiers, are going to be catalyst, to disclosure, to understanding it. Because when it does happen, there's going to be the people that are scared shitless. Because I've talked to Peter, I know what's going to happen in the sky. And he's talked about it. He said that this was years ago. He's like, you won't be so happy, you won't be so surprised when what happens in the sky. And I know that there's going to be 4 types of people. There's going to be the people that are scared shitless, that's going to shatter their reality. And I'm sure that this event's going to be happening pretty soon.
Yeah.
There's going to be the worshipers, that are worshiping. There's going to be the intellectuals, the ones that are like, I told you so. I knew this was happening. I'm smarter than you. And then there's going to be the people that are like us, that have just been waiting for this to happen. And I've actually had the dream of this happening when it happens. I remember when it happens. And I remember they come uncloaked, everything happens. And, where people would probably be scared or worshiping, I was just like, I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes. I'm like, finally, what I have waited for is happening. And I've had that in my dreams happen, and I know that time is coming. So, because when it happens, they literally land, they come uncloaked and they land and they get out, and they're looking futuristic, and they actually come up and they explain everything, that we already knew, to us and our family and stuff. So there's explanation about everything. And I actually just had a memory come back where I actually had a memory come back where I was getting access to my files. I remember them taking me in, and I was able to see my files, see everything I'd been involved in, like what it was about and everything. So that was pretty major for me.
I want to share share the screen and show this image that I saw recently, and it was I thought it was pretty amazing. Well, get out of this. Nope, sorry. Oh, I'm not going to be able to get. There it is, right here.
Yep. Yeah, if we're not merging with a different reality, I don't know what we're doing right now.
That's just crazy. You know.
Yeah.
And
See,
always
so
this
I mean,
like
that's
swirling pattern. Yeah.
that's what we're getting ready for. I mean, it's happening. And it's actually happening faster. Like I'm realizing that every day, it's happening quicker and quicker. And I've had everything come back to me about the future, because I even remember actually talking to Stephen Greer, and I know, because I know Stephen Greer is going to want to know,
Yeah,
what
he's invested a lot of time and effort to try to present disclosure, and it's not been easy for a lot of people that have really been on the forefront, have been at it for I don't know how many years has he been, sharing information.
But what I'm saying is the ACIO and what Peter and us and we are talking about is like the next level of disclosure, though, like, because that's what every one of those researchers and everybody is going to be looking for is what you and Peter and I and everybody have done. Everybody's looking for the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've been trying to provide the truth of what's going on.
And we still stand too, because that's what I've understood about Rompha's school. Rompha's school still stands, like through the years. It's been there since 1977.
Mm-hmm.
But and it's people have been trying to take it out legally, everything and all like that, but it still stands. And so legally it's protected. Like if you belong to the future, I understand you will be preserved. And so that's what I understand, like schools like Rompha, and then organizations like what we're a part of with the ACIO, and getting out the truth of what's going on, are going to be preserved and protected into the future.
Well, the ACIO has been around thousands of years before this time, and they'll continue to exist in the future. Whether you and I are continue to be with them is a different story, but of course it's our choice. But yeah, so it's something that exists, and if you are no longer in alignment with the higher truth, I think you fall off. You kind of go away. And I'm not saying that all these people were bad or good or whatever. It seems to happen that way. I remember I went to visit Barbara Marciniak. You have to be invited. It wasn't an easy thing to go to. And she's not an easy person. She was not an easy person to talk to. I think she'd been burnt quite a bit. And it was related also to the 12D Pleiadians, who didn't fully like me very much for whatever reason. I still don't understand that part either, but other than they kind of got into bad agendas. But I do remember leaving one of her sessions where she was, talking about whatever they knew, and as I was returning home, I recognized that I had been MyLabbed by them. Was she a bad person? I don't think she was a bad person. I think she was following what she thought was true. People kind of broke into her house, were trying to take things out of her house that she had probably information, of things. And, different ETs are here for different reasons. But you don't hear about her as much anymore. And there's other groups like that, that they had private gatherings and so forth.
And that makes sense though too, because like I just know that my guide is definitely Rompha. I put my trust in Rompha, and I know that he's definitely doing a good thing for people on this earth, like teaching them about their their divineness. That's not a
Yeah.
bad thing. Like,
Well, there's a lot of groups that were, tampering with people, seeing them as subjects that they could kind of examine and experiment with. And if, it sounds like your experience has been really positive.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there are still some groups out there that have been around for a long time.
And my grandma also, she has an experience with Ramtha too. Like, that's where my experience spurns from.
Oh, okay.
The whole Lumerian. I mean, my grandmother is 84 years old, and she still is a healer. She still has a healing business. So she's an amazing being.
Wow.
So I mean, it's good. It's good with my guide, and it's good with the guidance I'm getting. So, I know that's a thing with a lot of people. Like, it's like, okay, is what I'm getting good or bad? And that's the, but you can use your intuition, and, definitely tap into that to know whether you're getting it's good or bad.
I think it's, the fruit of the information, you can tell what happens to those people, even in the disclosure movement, there are people that, suddenly became really big and then they disappear, or you don't hear from them as much. It's those that you have, if you get into whether it's ego or something else, or the message is no longer needed. Some people transform themselves into something a little different afterwards. I don't know. I'm not here to, you and I are not here to be the judge of what every group does. People are, like I said,
I'm just observing. Like,
yeah,
I am observing.
There's many paths. There's many paths.
I'm definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just observing. I'm not judging. Everybody's doing their thing. I think we're all, just kind of doing the same thing, and
it's part of the journey. There's going to be good, and there's going to be bad, and sometimes we have to look at the truth of something, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's not in alignment with what we believed, and then we have to discard something that we felt very passionate about because it's not the truth. It's a difficult journey to go down, and
it's been a journey to exit this matrix, to exit the matrix, because that is what I learned in the school, was to create your own reality. So at this time when reality was breaking down, the matrix was breaking down, you will have already created your own reality, that's connected to source and all that, that's disassociated from the matrix. That is the program that most people are running. They're still running it. People are, and they're gonna run it until something is shown to them. But I understand that because I'm operating outside the matrix now, and that's an actual journey that any soul takes through the hero's journey. Being in the world of common day, getting the call to adventure, then going to the extraordinary world, taking the red pill, gets you out of the matrix. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
And once you're out, though, that is your path to sovereignty, and freedom, which is really what any soul wants, is that. So I understand that through my hero's journey, through my path to the Holy Grail, that's the path that I'm on, is the path to freedom. But obviously realizing I was a slave, and like, through what they said in Gladiator, he's like, I'm a slave. What difference can I make? The thing is, though, is like, but you're actually not a slave. You're a divine creator. Right. And I was able to, through like the mystery schools and remembering who I was, to remember that, like, I was a creator. And then I started experiencing creating my reality, like through actually materializing stuff. And that awoken me to the divinity, that I wasn't a slave. So I was able to escape out of that.
We've all been slaves, and whether we want to acknowledge that or not, but we've all been slaves to specific systems, lifetimes, experiences. We've all been different races. We've all been different genders. We've had multiple experiences, and we're at a pinnacle time period right now.
And the thing with slavery too, what I understood too with the Egyptian times, because everything's just a cycle and repeating again.
Yeah.
What they did with slaves in Egypt was they gave them a reasonable amount of comfort, just so they wouldn't know. So I see the same thing done in this civilization, because they have the convenience stores, they have everything, it's just convenient enough to keep the system together.
Right.
But once that breaks down, which I understand is happening, a new system comes in, and so that's what we had to go through is just the dismantling of a whole system.
Yeah, it has to be. I think if it were to happen today, there would be people. It would be chaos, because there would be people that want to hold on to that comfort of the system that's enslaving us. I'm not saying having a house or that's enslaving you, or living in a neighborhood. I think we're supposed to be communal people, like, interacting and socializing and so forth. But the way that, like, the bank system set up, or some of these other systems of exchange or whatever, the way that, a handful of people can manipulate what the price of food is, or, whether or not we get food, or whether or not we should be eating bugs. Whoever's making those, that's a slave system. It shouldn't be happening. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't even exist right now, but it does. So at some point, enough of the population had said that this is okay, because we just need to go back to the way we were, our 9 to 5. And we don't want to understand anything else beyond that. And so it's allowing it. And I'm not blaming those people, because I know that, it's out of fear and self-preservation and so forth. But there is definitely a resistance to understanding.
We have to want something more, you know what I'm saying, than this.
Or know that we deserve more.
That's,
we need to know we deserve. We're divine, right? We have a divine connection.
I think there's been enough people that have awakened.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have our watchers, we have our friends in higher places that are watching us and stuff. I know I have the Arcturians around me all the time. I can feel them. I think we've reached a point on this earth where we've reached a point to where the consciousness has been risen enough for us to be able to get out of slavery. Like that is actually what I believe. I've always had a positive, outlook on things. I've always seen that I've seen the future, and people are happy there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really have. Like, Peter's even said it. Like he's tried to explain it. Like, I know what he's talking about, because he's talking about the parallel reality, but that actual parallel reality is actually our future. Where the truth is revealed about what happened with the Nazis and all that stuff, and that technology is all given back to us, and that's actually a better future. You know what I'm saying? Because we're getting access to what's been held from us.
Right.
And that's been the whole premise of what I've understood is happening with what Ramtha has said and revealed about getting through this time of chaos and insanity, to be able to get to the future, to where we would be seeing things that was held back from us, and have access to that. So, and there's going to be a new government. There's going to be, like, I already know too, that's it's going to be a new government. It's going to be a meritocratic government. A meritocratic, because other civilizations have these meritocratic governments, which are, the best people are in the best positions. And that's going to be the government that comes in and replaces ours. That's going to be the government of the future, which is going to be like a Star Trek, like type government, which is a meritocracy.
Yeah. Yeah, and people who are there to do their job and not to be favoring others, or so having it's a higher consciousness that will make a difference. I was just talking to a woman from South Africa, and she said that they are putting people in very powerful positions. Like the individual that's supposed to be over the military is actually a kindergarten teacher. So they're kind of messing with the public.
Yeah, that's it. That is a transition and a change, because this meritocracy, I mean, it's gonna look like Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like that type of society, where there's technology, and that's what I see for the future.
Yeah, I think that it's been a mockery against humanity, some of the leadership choices and the things that they're doing, and nothing really has made any sense. And it's almost like they've been laughing at us, which has been hard on people. But I think that's when all that sheds, and those that brought that in, they won't be able to, if we keep the atmosphere in that higher vibration, as you say, and they just drift away. They just can't handle that energy. It doesn't
Right.
work with their intentions.
That's it. If they can't be on your vibration, they'll fade away.
Yeah.
And that's what I understood about, like, the premise of the mystery schools was the pharaohs. They rose their vibration, and that's how Ramtha was saying we would fight disease, we would fight viruses, we would fight all these things that we would be up against, was literally just raising our vibration out of it, out of that dimension.
Yeah.
So I've learned how to do that, like how to go through dimensions and stuff. And I remember memories of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. I remember this memory where I was just in this field, like this beautiful field. It was just so beautiful, and it had these amazing, like, angelic spires, and just all this. I was just like, wow, and so that's just me experiencing different dimensions. So
that's interesting you said that, because there was what was that one, it was a movie, Netflix series, Invasion. And they had some really weird looking structures there, and I've watched a few of those movies or TV series where they're showing, like, even like The Man in the High Castle, where they're showing these blimps that are flying around, and like weird things that signify this other reality, right, and some other belief system that was in a dominant space.
Well, the craziest thing that's going to happen is when another reality bleeds. I mean, it's already happening, but we're going to have to, like, transition into that reality because
I think that's what Peter's been trying to prepare us for, because
that is actually what he has been trying to prepare us for, because literally throughout the years I've picked up on everything he says, and that's what he's been saying is this parallel reality is merging into ours.
Yeah. And we see it. He's been saying this for years, and we see it, and people say, well, we don't know if we believe Peter. So listen to the timeline of what he said and when it happened. And there's no way that nobody else was talking about these things. And that's part of the reason, getting back to what we said earlier, of how the community feels that they're figuring out who's true, who's not, just because they repeat one person that they respect. And not, yeah, sure, they can repeat that, but if they say something new and then it does come true, just because it didn't happen in a certain way, it's like that's how they're measuring what's true or false. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, like I said, it got a little sloppy. People weren't using the correct model for how they figure out who's accurate, who isn't. They went by personality.
Peter is the only one. Peter is the only one I mean, I am completely baffled by how much information he's come out with, how many shows he's done, how much it changes. Like,
Yeah.
it's different. Like, there's never been anyone else that I've ever come upon that has that going
There are
on. So
people
that's
that have military disclosure, like they kind of know what's going on in the military and they have an insider somewhere, whistleblower somewhere in, beyond, and they brought in information. But this is different. This is actual, not like one incident or what the military is doing, but on a whole spectrum of our reality and how it would dramatically shift. And like when he said that, the whole world's going to get locked down, I said, there's no way you can get an entire planet locked down at the same time.
yeah.
I disagreed with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, here we are.
Right.
But he said that at least 6 months before it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's how I've known. I've known, I've just always wanted to know the truth and just have a connection with that. And, I've been involved in the community and stuff. I've seen it totally fall apart, and it is totally falling apart right now. But
it is, but it isn't. I think it's regrouping. And I'm going to tell you something. Peter and I had a discussion because I saw we had someone access the Kruger facility in another reality. And I've been to that Kruger facility before. And I saw a certain individual.
I have too.
Yeah, you
sure
have.
I have too.
I think I've told you.
I saw Kruger in another reality for sure.
Yeah, and it's a big, it's a big facility. And I've been
It's a big
inside.
facility, and I even saw a sign. It's a big facility, and it said Kruger right there. And I remember we were traveling out of it. So
I witnessed.
But I understand that that's what we're merging with. That's the reality we're merging with.
Right. So what I had witnessed, and I said to Peter, I said, there's an individual that's in the community but not necessarily communicating with us, that somehow as a spy jumped into it and started gathering information, which caused the breakdown of the Kruger runners. And we had a discussion about it. And he looked into it, and I think he brought it up in Taino's show.
Okay.
We did an interview with him last. And so this is part of the reason, I think, why the community is kind of angry or saying that some of this is not real or they don't want to associate with Kruger, is because of someone accessing the Kruger facility and creating confusion. And there are people that follow this individual. And they'll listen to everything he says. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. That individual, so he's on the he's.
I'm not going to say who it is because it's not going to be any good.
Right.
It won't go any good place at this point.
Right. Well, if you know that, then
it's not someone it's not someone that's ever worked with us.
Right. Okay. I understand that though. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing their own thing, having their own information. So
here's the reason. Is there a reason why? I mean, someone, or someone like that's from the CIA or something like that, could access in other dimensional space into this facility. Yes, it's possible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh, it definitely is though. They definitely train people to do that. Yeah.
So that's part of the community breakdown, which I think is going to get resolved. And I think people are going to wake up and say, wait a minute, what have we done? Because it's
I think it's I just think it's important to just keep honest and genuine you know, and just keep just keep doing what we're doing, with the disclosure that we're getting and waking up to. Like, I have my website, and I just do all the movies, all the disclosure movies. I just talk about on there, you know, like the Peripheral and Infinite and just all of them. I go through all of them, and I just give a synopsis of them, and then how the super soldier life pertains to it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've talked about I need another validation on this, but I don't know if you've watched the most recent movie Lost in Space or the Netflix series.
I dabbled a little bit into that, but I know about Lost in Space. So
yeah, no, I watched Lost in Space as a child.
mm-hmm.
So they had a whole different setup. I mean, actually, the whole idea of being a part of that. I mean, I had dreams of traveling like that, you know, as a kid. Yeah. So even though the show was really like, you know, cheesy or, you know, kind of, their set was like really kind of not very good, but neither was Star Trek.
They were getting out the truth back then, you know.
Oh, they had truth coming out in the early 1900s when they started doing movies. There was a lot of space movies.
Like, that is the thing. It's like people are like, when's disclosure going to happen? It actually has been.
And they had articles and all different incidences, and even close to me was it Bill and Betty and Barney Hill incident where they were abducted. That happened not that far from where I live, and that was something that came out in the 60s, I think. But they put a lot of disclosure articles, newspaper articles about extraterrestrials and unexplained phenomenon for years, and then at some point they stopped. That was it. They just wouldn't allow that kind of information, and then the Inquirer started to pick it up, like, you know, so everyone felt like it was fake, so it was non-threatening. But yeah, Lost in Space was like one of my shows. That John Carter was written like in the early 1900s or maybe even before.
Yeah, I know the feeling, because you know when you see a Carter is something for me too. But like, when you're involved in this, your soul, like when you see a disclosure movie or something, your soul will know, it will connect, and it will be like, it will see the truth in it, and so you'll be able to unveil, you know, that from that movie, so you'll be able to see the truth in it. And it's a emotional experience, you know.
When I watched that, I was like, I know exactly what he was experiencing there, and the way he was jumping on Mars like that, like the gravity was different, and those priest-looking guys, the Ferns or Thurns, I forget what they were called. I recognized them too, and there's an interesting quote from them saying that they deliberately destroy realities or worlds. And I'm gonna grab that quote. We're gonna put that in here so people can see it. But
so, what is your cause? We have none. We're not haunted by mortality as you are. We are eternal. History will follow the course we have set, Earthman. The ninth ray must remain in the hands of mindless brutes we can control. We've been playing this game since before the birth of this planet, and will continue to do so long after the death of yours. We don't cause the destruction of a world, Captain Carter. We simply manage it. Feed off it, if you like. But on every host planet, it always plays out exactly the same way. Populations rise, societies divide, wars spread. And all the while, the neglected planet slowly fades.
But the whole thing of him staying in a mausoleum because he's a time traveler and he has to fake his death and then have a new name, it's just like Saint Germain. You know, I'm not saying this is Saint Germain, but it's the same kind of thing that these travelers do,
Right.
and how they hide
Yeah.
their identity or change their identity. And, you know,
No,
yeah,
I do. I do know. I know it just becomes more apparent every day, like what I'm waking up to. And it's an incredible experience. It actually is. It's been a lot of healing too. You know, I've had to do a lot of healing. But it's actually starting to, like, I believe that I've made it past, like, get the dark night of the soul. You know, I got through that, to be able to get to the other side. So things are getting pretty cool, because my life is, I live a good life. You know, I'm an author. I write books. You know, I just do research. I enjoy my peace. But when I go to sleep at night, I get to have these incredible experiences. So it's it's not bad having this multi-dimensional, like, I am going through ascension. And I'm just putting words to it, and getting my experience out, so I can show people it's a thing, because we're looking to get out of the wheel of reincarnation. So I understand that that's what I
but it's
part of my
really
mission.
simple. It's not as hard as people think, and it's not like, oh, we hate the reincarnation thing, and the whole thing with the Akashic records was for us to learn. If you choose to learn in this lifetime, then you go on to that next phase of whatever that is. But if you
Right.
choose not to learn, then you'll repeat the same problem over and over again. It's really
That's pretty
simple.
easy.
It
Yeah,
is very
yeah.
easy. It's not a bad thing, because that's, it's just like a child has to learn certain things so they don't hurt themselves. And
Mhm.
that's how I've always perceived the Akashic records and the whole karmic wheel, and everything related to.
Yeah, you gotta beat the level to go to the next level in the game.
Right, it's that too, and it's, you're beating yourself. This is a game
Conquering
of
yourself is what
or
my mentor
mastering.
refers to.
You become a
Yeah,
master in some others. Yeah.
and I've done that personally by just doing a lot of meditation. Like, every single morning I get up. I learned this in the school. Every single morning I will get up, and I've been doing this for 7 years. And I will light incense. I will light a candle. I will put on some Library of Alexandria, or just some kind of music, and I will just sit there for an hour, and I'll meditate. And then I'll do that again at night. And even in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it says that, like,
Yep.
Thoth was an immortal, and he's like, 1 hour each day, face your head to the north, and then 1 hour each day, face your head to the south.
Mm.
And he was giving out secrets in the Emerald Tablets, because he even talks about how in the beginning, he they destroyed it, but they on the wings of the morning they rose, and they went to the land of Kem, and landed in the land of hairy barbarians. And they went and they attacked the ships with spears and rocks. But then the people from Atlantis, they got out, and they showed them their power, and then they rose the Egyptians up to where they were. And he basically gives the whole account of him rising them up to the civilization, and the whole mysteries are included in the Emerald Tablets. So
Yeah. These documents are here to help us figure something out. And
well, yeah, raising
because we can't
consciousness.
just do it, from memory alone. There has to be a reference point where you say, like, I've read things, and then I remember saying, I already knew that. Well, how did I already know that? Because it's real, because it happened. So when I'm reading, like one of these, like you're talking about, the Emerald Tablets, there's a part of you that says it's awakening you rather than just giving you new information. It's reminding you of what you probably already knew.
Yep.
And that's the whole thing that we're going through. It's pretty amazing.
That is it though, because if like they said on Infinite, you know, the end of the movie is like, if you knew who you were, you would know who you can become.
Right.
And it's like, so that is happening, you know, to humanity right now, because we've been in a time where we've been taught, like, this is what Rompta says, we've been taught that we were wretched creatures. You know, we've been, you know, bogged down and enslaved and mind controlled and all this stuff. But, you know, we are in that time where we're waking up to our divinity, our you know, that's happening with us waking up to our multidimensionality, like having all these experiences. And there are the forerunners, you know, the old souls, that are having these experiences, that are kind of like paving the way, you know, for the others that are to follow, out of the matrix, you know. So they'll find this work, and I know that we'll, in the future, what we've done is going to be very beneficial for people.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. I want to share something with you, because I know that you talk about the Book of the Dead. And I want to share something that you can take a look at, that they discovered a new papyrus of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That means there was a page missing.
Oh,
how do you like
dang.
that?
Yeah, I always like finding stuff, like
yeah,
you know, that's
that's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So I don't know if they actually have the information fully on it. There's the Mummy, the movie, but they do provide some information here. But a little something extra for you to add to your website.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be good. Because it's just like that website is just, it's going to be constantly, it's just going to be information, you know, that I have coming back. And I know that this is all leading into the future, and I just have memories. I'm gonna, you know, I don't know. I just have a lot of memories of getting all of my abilities back. You know, being able to teleport, being able to levitate, being able to do telekinesis, all that. Like I've actual memories of being in like a gas station, and I'm just in like a little convenience store, and then I'm sitting there, and then there's a kid just playing with a candy bar, but he's levitating it.
I had a battle. I woke up from a dream. I was in a battle, and I literally pushed someone without touching them, and they flew, you know, across, and then they threw me that way too. Yeah. And I said to Peter, I said, I usually don't have telekinesis like that, but I said that was really kind of a interesting kind of experience.
What I've learned though, is that it's going to be like the future is going to be involved, like the super soldiers and us. Like when we get activated, we're going to have like all the abilities of all the superheroes, like combined. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be like that. And I've had dreams of it, so I know it's coming. Like it's going to be unbelievable, but I know it's coming because I have experienced it before, in a past life. So
well, even like Al Bielek, remember Al Bielek talked about how he went into that future reality, and the furniture was levitating, you know, so they had, you know, incorporated that kind of energy into the reality. And when I started listening to Here Again, I was listening to what he was saying, and I'm like sitting there going, I know this. Why do I already know this? You know, and this was before I met Peter, before I was actually on the radio, just sort of researching things and, you know, prompting, you know, these recalls or memories. And I did a whole bunch of like regressions and things like that. You know, there was that, you know, that time period when you're awakening and you go through all these different processes and you're like, oh my God, that happened. Or I can't believe, you know, I got killed that way. And, you know, you kind of, it's like this, you know, it's like it's a rocky road, you know, but at the same time, like I wouldn't have traded knowing some of these things. And well, one of them was I literally had a recall of being in a reality. And I remember them saying, if you don't work, if you're going to be in this reality, you need to work, or else you don't have a purpose. If you don't have a purpose, you're not allowed to be here. And I heard it, and I heard someone's voice saying it. And now I think it was like this some kind of form of AI, but that was same reality, I believe, that Al Bielek talked about. And I stepped into it and watched it. So when he talked about it, I was like, wow, that's crazy. Someone else saw what I saw, and that was early on.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it just slipped into that reality, and it's just like they're right on top of each other. What I'm just getting to understand is like just all the parallel realities and that we exist in them, and that we have soul fragments in these realities and clones and stuff in these realities in the future, and we're able to have memories come back because I'm having memories come back about things I know, like because I'm actually experiencing in the mystery schools. They're telling us about how there are different timelines that exist where you did get with this girl, or you did make this decision, or you did do that, and I'm actually experiencing in my dreams parallel realities, like where different things happen, like I made different decisions.
Yep.
Like
that, and I've been with different people too. Like right. I'm finding myself with groups of people that I wouldn't normally be with. What are they doing there? Yeah,
that's the multiverse. That is the multiverse. Yeah. Like definitely coming into to because I'm like, wow, it's I opened up Pandora's box. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, I know you can't take it in all at once. And I know actually they had a movie where, I think it was the Indiana Jones movie where the Nazi lady, she wanted to know everything all at once.
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah,
the aliens gave it to her, and then she explodes. So I know that can't happen. But it is coming. It is just it's a waterfall. It's like a flow.
I don't think your mind would explode in something like that. It's almost like people have talked about when they're ready to die or whatever, and that their whole life passes through them. You can get like this weird download, like sometimes if you are doing your spiritual work, if you're meditating, like you said, and you're opening things up, you can get unusual downloads where lots of data can just come in. And I don't know how to explain it, but depending on who you were connected to. So it's on an individual basis. That's why you can't really teach that this happens to everyone. And anyone says this happens for everybody. It doesn't work that way. Everyone has their unique way of taking in the information, and then also how they're connected to it, and how, what galactics they were connected to, or, it has this interesting little process with each individual. And so, but I have seen people just get downloads of things. It's just incredible, mm-hmm. And just see, well, even, yourself of these recalls. It's more, a lot of the soldiers are frustrated. They want to remember.
I know. I do know that, but that they have to do the work though. That's what I realized is it's part of just meditating every day. I know it's hard and stuff, but there is a way, to get the memories back, and it's just like you have to just build in meditation.
Yeah. There's no shortcut. I tell everyone, they said, what's like, they want to know what the magic pill is, or the magic this or that. And, everybody wants shortcuts. And I said that there's no other way around it. There's one particular door, and that's through yourself. It's through yourself.
There definitely is a way, and that is the way. And, reintegrating all the altars and all that stuff, I've understood that's part of the process, because what I explained, like on Dollhouse, that they show perfectly what they do with altars and programming them, and it's part of a soul fracturing, and they did that to us as a child, and it's about you're remembering all the memories of all the different altars and stuff. And so you're integrating those into your experience, and you're healing them at the same time, and that allows you to get the memories back, and then be able to handle the memories.
Right.
So I've been through that process, and I've had success in healing the altars.
You do. I mean, it's a big process. It really is, and you have to be willing to do that. But once you get through it, it's fine.
You're complete.
You're lighter. You feel a lot lighter. You don't have,
because you've been fractured, and then you're putting yourself back together again.
I've talked to people that think they're so fractured that they think they're actually clones, and it's not the case. But you do feel your soul gets it just gets lighter. You can think clearer. You ever have that feeling? You ever have that feeling where it's like you're depressed and you don't know why?
Yeah, I have. I definitely have had that.
No, those are things that have happened that you just haven't awakened to. You don't remember. You don't understand it.
Yeah. I mean, if you're depressed and you just went through a fucking battle on another planet, and that's why you're depressed.
Right.
But you don't remember.
Lost someone that you love, some people that you loved, or the people that were your friends, or yeah.
That comes back up. So, and you just gotta work through that stuff. It's tough. Life's not easy. But it's a healing and learning experience.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like we're winding down a little bit here. And Anthony, it's always a good conversation with you because you're real, you're authentic, and you have this experience and knowledge that is needed to help others. And so I always love having you on the show. I never feel like there's anything bad comes out of it. It's always good, and you're welcome to come back at any time.
All right, thank you, Jessica, so much, and thank you for that. It means a lot to me that you can trust me and just know that I'm being honest and genuine, because I know that that's what's important right now. So I'm just gonna keep doing the work, and continuing on the mission. So
good. Thank you, Anthony Zender, and thanks for being here. We're going to put the links in there for your website and for your book. It looks like quite a few people have already read it, but those of you who haven't read it yet, you need to get a copy. And like I said, you're welcome back anytime, and we appreciate you you being here to greet our audience, and on the Andronetalks Radio, or whether it's Disclosures or any of other shows that we do. So thanks again, and have a good day.
You have been listening to Andronetalks Radio. Join us on YouTube channel Jessica Arael Morocco, and visit her website at www.readingsbyarael.com.